Where's Fielder? He's gone to the dogs.
Welcome once again to the Gone to the Dogs podcast. This is your host, Steve Fielder, this old gravelly voice that you're probably used to hearing by now. Real pleased today to have a guy that's been in all over social media ever since this past Saturday night. Of course, these podcasts are recorded about a week ahead of the time they are broadcast. I think this one is going to be broadcast on Halloween night, so maybe if things get a little spooky here, you'll know why. But at any rate, our guest today is Duell Murphy, who's just won the AKC World Coonhound Championship, and we're really excited about talking to Duell. And so before I get into that, I want to thank my friends out at DU Hunting Supply, Buddy Woodbury, Jason Doobie, the whole staff out there that makes it possible for this podcast to be on the air, so to speak, every week. So we want to thank those guys. If you need anything in the way of hunting supplies for you or your hound, they've got it at DU Supply, and they absolutely service what they sell, and a lot of good technical support and all that. So just a big shout out to our friends out there at DU Hunting Supply. Okay, I want to introduce right away here this gentleman from Huntington, Indiana, up in the northeast corner, not far from Fort Wayne, Duell Murphy. How you doing, Duell?
Pretty good, buddy. I happy to be here, and I appreciate it. And we're just hunkered down here a little bit before we go hunting out here tonight.
Well, I figured if I wanted to catch you, I was going to have to do it before dark.
Yes, sir. It's just now getting dark, but I think we got a little bit of rain moving in, so it's about perfect time for right now.
Well, good. Well, I'm glad to certainly be able to talk with you. And I think I mentioned earlier, I saw the YouTube video you did with Clayton Stark with Stark Outdoors, and I enjoyed that a lot. And a lot of things have happened since you did that video. And I want to talk to you about those things because I know our listeners are going to be very interested in what you have to say. Duell, I want to do just a little bit of background on you. We always do this with guests, and I know unless these guys have been under a rock somewhere, they've heard your name and they've seen your pictures in Pro Hound and any other publications, and anywhere there's a major coonhound event these days, you seem to be right in the thick of things. But how about giving me just a little bit of background about who Duell Murphy is, your age, just your family, just some background.
Yeah, I'm 32 years old. All my family, none of them ever coon hunted before, I used to race dirt bikes since I've been 5 years old until about 5 or 6 years ago. I decided to quit doing that. I had my first kid, and I didn't want to get hurt and not ever be able to play with my kid, so quit doing that. And I was kind of in coon hunting just a little bit, just pleasure hunting on the weekends and stuff. And I figured I started doing a little $30 hunts here and there, some UKC stuff, and really just got hooked off of it. And this is where we are now. It's probably been about 6 or 8 years since I started hunting. Probably 5 years since I started competition hunting pretty regular,
Yeah. Well, when you're a guy my age, and of course I've been around the sport forever since I was a kid, but it's pretty remarkable what you've been able to accomplish in that short period of time. And you and I were talking a little bit when I learned that you lived up there in around Huntington, Indiana, that some names, the Searles name came to mind right away. And we were talking about Joe and Roger Searles, and I believe you told me that Roger is the one that pretty much got you involved in coon hunting. Is that right?
Yes, sir. His grandsons, Zach Stell and Trace Searles, they're the ones that every weekend when Friday came around, we knew we were going to Grandpa Rogers to go coon hunting all weekend. We'd rabbit hunt during the day and coon hunt all night. And he had a few blue tick dogs that we'd always take out, and
Oh, yeah.
they'd always show us coon.
Yeah. Well, that was fun stuff for a young guy, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fun for us, and I think it kept us out of trouble from being in town.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing when you're young and, you get to that certain age, you're going to get out and do something. So if you can kind of direct that activity into something a little less, I don't know what the word I'm trying to use, but most kids go to town on Saturday night, and you were going to the woods, I guess.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah.
And we I honestly look forward to it every weekend. I was like, oh, I can't wait for the weekend to get here. I'm ready to go coon hunting again.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, how did you ease into, or did you just jump in with both feet into the competition game?
See, I bought a dog off Craigslist. His name was Sherm, and I didn't know what I had because I really didn't know what a dog was.
Hmm.
And bought him off Craigslist and hunted him, I think, for a few months, and decided that I wanted to go to a competition hunt, and went over there to I think it was the Marion, Indiana Club is what
Okay.
it was. I don't think they still have that open now, and I think they had maybe 8 casts or 4 casts or something, but I actually won early, and I think them guys were running for a truck ticket and they wanted to hunt it off late. Well, I didn't know nothing about none of that. I was just happy to be there, and I we hunted it off late. It was Mike Nelson,
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy Jones, and I forget the other guy's name that was with us. Um, but I ended up winning it, and I almost took a couple lessons on it, but I got lucky and won it, and kind of been hooked ever since.
Yeah.
I really didn't know what a dog was then and what they needed to do, and I guess he was the right one, and I got lucky buying him off Craigslist because all them guys were wanting to buy him after the hunt, and I was like, whoa, for way
Yeah.
more than what I bought the dog for,
Sure.
and
Well, when
I
you're
was
young, an important lesson to learn, and apparently you realized it, is that you'll sell that dog that you have because the money sounds good, but you'll spend more than that trying to find one to replace him.
yep, that's exactly right.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned a guy named Mike Nelson. That's a name I haven't heard in a long time, and used to see Mike at the hunts a lot back in the day. Is he still involved in hunting, or do you know?
Um, I don't think he lives too far from me. I don't think he's hunting anymore.
Yeah.
It's probably been a couple years since I've heard him
I
going to
see.
a hunt.
I got you. I got you. Well, I think most people will easily recognize you for your relationship with Ike Rainey and with the Heather Island team there. And of course, I live down here, not very far from Ike, in Florida. I see him occasionally at the events and so forth, and did talk to him in reference to an American Cooner article not too long ago. Well, maybe we're leaving out some good stuff, but how did you progress from the point there where you and Sherm go out and win your first hunt to now you're hunting professionally?
Um, I would say once I put my mind to something and I want to do it, I do it the whole way. I don't leave nothing out or try to do anything half. If I'm into it and I enjoy it, then I'm
Right.
I'm gonna do it to the fullest.
Right.
And I think that a lot of people have seen that where they know that I'm hunting hard every week, every night, and I think the results have showed it too on who's doing their homework during the week when they go out on the weekend, and you can tell who's been doing their homework.
Hmm. Yeah, I think it's true, and it's I'm a little incredulous to believe that people approach it this way, but some guys, I think the only time they hunt the dog is at the hunt on the weekend, or whatever. And I see guys like you who seem to, believe, and rightfully so, that you got to keep that dog in the woods. Now, what's your philosophy on that?
Yeah, I think that you got to get a dog operating the way you've seen the other dogs operate that are winning the big level.
Hmm.
I try to hunt hard during the week, and there's some dogs that you can overhunt.
Hmm.
So the dogs that you overhunt, I think it's better off to just try to hunt them a couple times during the week, and then run them just to keep them in shape.
Hmm.
But as far as that, if I get a new dog, I'm I'm gonna hunt that sucker hard and see what we got, see what he can take, what he can't take, and
Hmm.
what he needs tuned up on. And as far as that,
Well, I guess we can fast forward then. To I want to get to how you became involved with the Heather Island. I'll call it the Heather Island team. I know that there's a lot of dogs involved, a lot of handlers involved. Um, how did you and Ike get together?
um, it was probably a year ago, or a little more than a year, maybe a year and a half. I won my first truck, and I had a Florida number call me, and it was Ike Rainey, and this was before I knew him, or I don't even think he knew me. And
Hmm.
he wanted to call and congratulate me on winning the truck. And we kind of just left it at that. And
Hmm.
I said, thanks, I appreciate it. I didn't know him from Adam or Eve, and
Right.
he just called and wanted to congratulate me. And
Well,
I,
I
s-
think that's
I
sincere. Ike is a low key guy, and doesn't, but he seems to me to be a really good guy and a sincere guy. So I would just think that that's probably what the deal was. He wanted to congratulate you.
yeah, that was for sure what the deal was. And uh, I ain't met no one like him. That's one of the best guys out there. He'll do anything for anybody, and
Hmm.
and he he'll call and congratulate anybody that wins something big, and that's just how he is.
Right.
He's proud about it.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
he's happy for other people to win
Yeah.
it. It ain't all about him or Heather Island.
Right.
He's proud if anybody wins, and he wants them to know that too. So I'm pretty sure that's why he gave me a call.
Sure. And then did that progress into the relationship as far as you handling for him, or how'd that come about?
Yeah, it did. We talked about Melvin, and he was interested in Melvin a little bit. And we things were kind of slow for a little bit, and he gave me a call one day and said, "Hey, I got an extra entry to this pro classic. If if you want to go up there, I'll pay the entry, and we'll split what we win or whatnot."
Hmm.
And so I went up there and did pretty good at the hunt, and it pretty much just kicked off from
From
there.
there, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, that is a good segue into the dog I really wanted to talk to you about, uh, Duel, and that was the Melvin dog. And give me a little background. I mean, so you owned Melvin. Did you raise him from a puppy? What was your relationship with Melvin from the start?
So Kevin Cable bought Melvin off of Sean Bowers, and he was over in Ohio. He was just about a year old,
Okay.
and me and Kevin hunt regular. He lives about 2 hours from me, so whenever he gets a new dog or whatnot, we always go hunting no matter what. He likes to come up and go hunting at my stuff, and I like to go hunt down there. I like to mix it up. We both got the same outlooks on hunting. Like we like to mix our dogs up. We don't want to hunt them in the same spot every night. But
Right.
he brought Melvin up here, and he said,
Now,
I
who
think it's
put that name on Melvin?
Kevin did. Cable.
Okay.
He named him. Is it good to you, Melvin?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
I know the first time I saw that, I thought that was about the most unusual name I'd seen hung on a coon.
Yeah, and whether he was a good dog or not, everyone was going to remember that name.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. Well, that goes back to the old story of the Lipper dog, House's Lipper, and how Dorothy House, the wife of Joe House, named that litter because UKC required you to name all the puppies back in that day. And then they went through a phase where you really they just assigned numbers. But she named this whole litter the Lipper, Clipper, Dipper, Skipper, all this. And then when Mac McAllister, I think, actually Joe House wanted to change the dog's name because he said, who on earth would name a coon dog Lipper, But that name stuck, and it's become one of the most famous names in all the history of coonhounds, So I'd say Melvin is certainly a name that you remember, especially. Okay, so you got him from Kevin. Now go on with that story.
Yeah, me and Johnny Watkins bought him off of Kevin Cable right when he was around a year old. And Melvin came straight to my house, and he never left my house. I kept him the whole time. I think there may have been a couple little hunts that Johnny took him to, but me and Melvin kind of just clicked right off the bat. And he was already treeing coon and everything before I got him, but I think I tuned him into where he needed to be as far as moving around and doing stuff a little bit faster.
Well, what was his background, his breeding?
His dad was Scunny River Fred Bear,
right,
and the bottom side was Lay 'em Up Lacey.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And he was, as I recall, he was a white dog with black spots. He wasn't really the classic black-backed, red-headed Walker dog, was he?
No, he had a kind of a little bit of a blanket back, and then he had a little bit of a red head, but he had a blaze down the middle of his head.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, let's break him down just a little bit. How from the snap, how'd he act?
He ever since when I had him, he always wanted to please me, whatever it was. He wanted to be your best friend and everything. Well, when I got him, he just had that mindset the whole time. It was never anything else. He always just was there to please you, and he with being that young, it was kind of unbelievable. Like he acted like a 5-year-old dog, and he was only a year old. Like he was just laid back and chill, and didn't act like a puppy, if you know what I mean.
Sure, absolutely. Well, what kind of mouth did he have? Did he give a lot of mouth on the ground? How did he operate?
He would open up. He wasn't a last strike dog, but he was honest about it too. He would open up. He'd have a ball on the ground, and then when he'd come treed, he would turn it into a locate into a chop. Unless he had some stuff to chew on, he would chew just a little bit, but nothing ever to make a fuss about.
I got you.
He had a big old mouth on him. I've treated him in at probably a mile 0.96 before, and you can hear him plain as day. He had a really good mouth.
Was he a dead loner?
I wouldn't say he was a dead loner. If there's something out of the truck that they all hit right out of the truck, then he'd tree it. He wouldn't just leave it and go find his own. But I'd say 9 times out of 10 he'd be by himself. There'd be a couple times where um, later on I bred him, and I don't know if it messed with him or not, but I had to work him out of that. He thought he could hang out and party with some dogs. But we got that figured out quick.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. Well, so many questions run through my mind here as you're talking. So you would consider him a good tree dog?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
And he was one that you cut him loose, he's either going to tree one right here in front of you or he'll go a mile. He wasn't just a dog that would blow through there every time. He's going to tree him as he comes to him. And if there wasn't nothing that came to him, then he's going to go till he finds one,
Well, he was pretty accurate. It had to be to win as much as he did, was he not?
Yeah. He it was very unusual to walk to him and not see a coon.
Right. Well, what were some of the major wins that Melvin had? Do you recall?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, as a 1-year-old, I won the ACHA World Hunt with him, and he got in the finals, the semifinals of the 1-year-old Super Stakes, and then he got in the semifinals of the World Hunt when he's a 1-year-old. And I mean, he's won a couple of big pro classics. I've won a truck with him with the pro sports series.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just some of the things off my head.
For
I think his lifetime earnings were right around 65,000 in PKC and 42,000 in pro sport.
So he's over 100,000 lifetime in those two registries.
Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, the thing that we hate to talk about, but you lost him, and you want to tell me a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, I had him over in Nova, Ohio, at the pro sport truck hunt, and I had him and Marv with me, which is another dog, and I was hunting Melvin early, and we pulled off this road probably 3/4 of a mile, which I wasn't worried about. It wasn't even a major road or nothing, just a old country road, it seemed like. And we had a 2-hour cast, and I'm winning with 10 minutes to go. I've treed 2 coon. Kevin Morehouse's Willow dog, she's treed 1, and she's treed again. Or no, she's treed 2. She treed the first one with me, and then treed 1 on her own, and then she was treed again towards the end for the win. And it was really weird what happened. So I tree Melvin in when we're 0.76 away, scoring a different dog. And Willow and Melvin's back towards the same way, but Melvin's right-handed of Willow. And we get within 200 yards of Melvin, and he just shuts up completely. And we're all standing there like, what the heck? He's just been treating that hard the whole time. And we run the 2 minutes on him, and that ended up catching him. And I'm looking at my Garmin. He just peels completely out of there. Now he's running down this edge of this bean field. And I'm not thinking anything about this road being up there because it wasn't no big highway or nothing.
Right.
And all I'm worried about right now is if Willow's got a coon or not, because if she does, then I'm beat, So we ran the 2 on Melvin. It catches Melvin. Well, now the hunt time's over. So my Garmin, and he gets down towards the road, and he never ran roads or nothing bad. And he gets down towards the road, and so I turn his collar light on just because one car, whatever,
Oh yeah.
And we get in there and score Willow. She's got a coon, so I'm beat. I'm 300 yards from Melvin, and now it's saying it showed he jumped out on the road just for a split second, and then now it's showing him treed in the ditch. And I'm like, well, dang, this sucker caught one, or he's in a pipe down in this ditch, you know.
Hmm.
And the closer I got to him, I was thinking, man, I sure hope this ain't what happened. And I got up there, and there was some car parts laying on the road, some plastic bumper or something. And I looked down in the ditch, and there he was, laying there dead.
Oh man! And
Yeah,
how old was he?
he was he was 3 years old.
Wow, that's
Yep.
such a heartbreaker. I think any coon hunter that's listening to this podcast has experienced that if they've been at it for very long. And it's just such a heartbreaker. It's such a it just all kinds of emotions come through, and I know from what you've said about Melvin, he was a real personable dog. So you had quite a relationship with this dog, didn't you?
Yeah, like he'd ride in the front seat of the truck with me everywhere we go to the hunts and stuff, and I'd take him in them hotels, and he would never. He was just like a house dog. I'd take him in at the
Right.
house. He'd play with the kids, and he was more than just a hunting dog. You know, he was a family member for sure.
Well, Duel, that's one of the things that I've tried to do over the years in my work with the registries and dealing with cases where dogs have been shot. And, these insurance companies and so forth, they want to portray these dogs as just a tool, just a means to an end. They don't mean anything to us. We don't take good care of them. We turn them loose and let them get in harm's way. But they have no way of knowing, I guess, but how much these dogs can actually mean to us,
Yeah, that's a fact there. I mean, we didn't just lose a dog; we lost a family member. Like it was hard to tell your kid where
Oh,
where
yeah.
his Melvin was when you got home. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh, yeah.
and
I
that's
can
where it hit.
imagine.
That's where it hit hard.
Well, that was a story that sent shockwaves across the sport. And, with the way things are in social media now and all, we get our news almost instantly. Back in the day, down through the years for me, it was waiting until a magazine came out before we knew, what was going on, unless we were, closely associated. So I will say I would express the same if they had the opportunity. Of course, that was a big loss. Did you have, you mentioned the Marv dog. Were you hunting him for Ike at that time too?
Yeah, I had Marv and Melvin at the same time. So
Uh-huh.
I mean, I still had a dog to hunt, and I actually went on and hunted Marv late round over there in Ohio. You know, I was already there and already had the entries, and people couldn't believe I stayed there. You know, but I
Yeah.
I was there to hunt, and
Well,
I
what
don't
can
know.
you do? That was
There wasn't nothing I could do about it.
probably the best therapy for you. And
Yeah.
maybe just to be out there and get your mind off that and onto something else, at least for a couple hours. Well, that's a real tragedy. Did you said you bred him a couple times. Are there any pups on the ground out of him?
Yes, sir. I did breed him 3 times. He probably has I'd say right over 20 pups on the ground.
Hmm.
And yeah, there's a couple of them that got some UKC wins and some PKC wins. The oldest ones are out of him and Piper.
Oh,
They're
okay.
they're
Wow.
just they're just a year old right now, and
Yeah.
I actually got one over at a pup trainer right now, and it's a female, and he said that she's just like her mom. So hopefully it pans out pretty
Well,
good.
I can't wait till we talk about Piper here because where you're concerned. But I want to talk to you about this situation that you got yourself into down in Texas. Um, Everybody was very, very concerned about you. And I know that there were a lot of posts on social media with prayers going up for your health and all. Tell me about what happened down there.
Yeah, so I was down in Texas at the $6,500 black eyed peas hunt, and it was it was the second night. No, it was the third night. I think it was a Saturday night. I got in the night before, and Miss Sizemore's boss, we went out and ate lunch at a restaurant right there on the lake by our Airbnb, and we left Melvin at the at the house after we ate. We ran to Walmart and got some stuff that we needed, and then ran to the house and picked up Melvin and changed our clothes for hunting and everything. And then we were driving over to the club, and obviously I don't know Texas, or none of the roads out there very good, and I think I was speeding just a little bit, nothing crazy, and I missed a curve that went left-handed, and there was a side road that went straight, and I think I tried to overcorrect, and I ended up hitting a tree out there, and with Melvin in the back seat, and Bronk was in the truck with me, and guess we're both very lucky to even be sitting here talking about it. You know, it was a pretty bad wreck. I shattered my hip. I got 8 screws in it and a big metal plate, and I exploded my artery in my neck,
Mm.
which they said I was bleeding out. That's why I had to get flown out of there. And then Bronk, he he had some head injuries and a broken femur. He had to get flown out too, and we both spent a week or two in the hospital. He spent longer than me from his head injuries, but we're both all healed up now. You know, I mean, I get sore after I drive a while on my hip, which I was told that that would come. You know, but they Melvin was in the back seat of the truck, and he ended up getting out after the wreck, and they found him like a mile away, treed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Melvin's been through a lot of stuff with me too, you know.
Well, I can certainly see that. You know, earlier on as we were talking, Duel, I was thinking about asking you about the toughness that it must require to hunt these dogs of today when you're talking about the dog being treed a mile in there. And you know, we often discuss how these dogs are treated all 4 points of the compass, and the incredible amount of walking that one has to do in a night hunt, and just when you're in great health and feeling good. But it didn't take you all that long till you were back out there.
No, no, not as long as it was supposed to. My doctors told me 8 to 12 months before I needed to start doing normal activity again. And the Nationals was in March. My wreck happened in January. I think the Nationals was in March. I might be a month off, but within 4 months, I started walking on my leg again, and once I figured out I could walk, I started hunting again.
Oh,
And
wow.
I never told my doctors what I was doing,
I'm sure.
and I didn't have to do any physical therapy. They on my 5 month checkup, they they checked everything over and stuff, and they said, "We don't know what you're doing. We don't want to know what you're doing, but whatever you're doing, keep doing it because it's working great."
That kind of reminds me of a story, and I have stories for everything, Duel. And if you'll indulge me, I was working at the AKC in Raleigh, North Carolina. Went out to a night hunt at Burlington, North Carolina. I was hunting a little Walker female at that time, and while I was out there, I started having chest pains. And long story short, I'll cut right to it. Ended up having to take an ambulance ride back in, and I was having a heart attack, and I ended up having dual bypass surgery at Duke University Hospital. So shortly after that, when I go back to my cardiologist for checkup, they put me on a stress test, and I'm on a treadmill, and they want see how long it takes me to get my heartbeat up to 120 beats a minute over, time's going by, time's going good shape. What are you doing, to keep your heart rate in in such good shape, And I said, well, it's like this. I go out to Jordan Lake, which was a big lake there near Raleigh. And I said, I turn 2 coonhounds loose about dark, and I try to get them rounded back up by daylight. And the doctor said, hey, tell me a little bit more about this. I've never heard about this before. And we had a good laugh out of it. But apparently coon hunting can be good exercise, especially if you hunt those wide hunting dogs.
Yeah, you're right on that.
Yeah. Well, the Melvin story did not turn out the way we would like it to. The story of your truck accident, absolutely. We're glad that you and Bronx survived it. And then, how is he doing, by the way?
Bronx good. I just seen him at a hunt probably a month and a half ago, and we're both walking normal for now. Probably until we get a little bit older, then we're really going to feel it. But as far as right now, it looks like we're doing all right.
Well, that's good. That's really good to hear. I'm thankful for that. Prayers do get answered. Okay, let's talk about this recent that kind of propelled you on the front page of Saturday Night, now a week before that it'll actually be aired. But you went to the AKC World Championship, and I believe that was held in Bainbridge, Ohio. Is that right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
sir.
Had you hunted any AKC World Hunt before?
No, I have not. This was the first one.
Okay. Well, with all of these, this is just curiosity here from my standpoint. With all of these major events that you've been hunting, and these pro sport events, and these what we'll call phenomenal entry fees, but of course they also have phenomenal payouts.
So the qualifying started on Wednesday, and I was not aware that there was even a world hunt going on at the time. I woke up on Thursday and I seen people posting about it, and I was like, well, heck, that's only 4 hours away. That's a pretty good payout. I might as well go over there, And I went over there on Thursday, and I lost early round. I treed 3 coon early round. Couldn't get the last one to look. It was there. Everyone seen it. We just never could get it to look. And then late round, went out there and got the job done. But I've never been to the AKC World before.
Well, I was hired by the AKC in 2004. I was at PKC. And they had a successful coonhound program in past years, but they didn't really take care of it very well, and it had kind of gone away. And they wanted to start the program back up. They wanted a new program. Actually, I told them when they began to talk to me, I said, if we're going to do this right, we just need to scrap basically what we got and start over. So we did, and we worked hard at it. And I had Jerry Mall that worked for PK, was one of the fellows that I hired, and he worked with me at AKC. Lindell Price from Virginia, Jimmy Phillips from Georgia, and David McKee from South Carolina. We worked real hard on that program and rewrote the rules and so forth, and began to have the world hunts. And I remember the first one that I worked was at Chillicothe, Ohio, which is not all that far from where you were, I believe. And but at any rate, we had a lot of fun with it and all. But the coon hunters never did follow suit with registering their dogs with AKC. And that's kind of been the problem. UKC's been the primary registry for coonhounds, forever. And then, of course, PKC with their super stakes programs and things like that have gotten a lot of registrations too. But AKC, it sounds like that they're kind of making a comeback here because, at one time we had that thing up, around, we were getting close to 500 dogs at a world hunt, but it went backwards there. And, but now I think they were up to almost 70 dogs in this hunt. Well, folks, you probably weren't aware of it, but we took a little break there to kind of reboot as far as the equipment is concerned. So that's some of the things that happen from time to time in this podcasting world. I'm here with Duell Murphy, and of course, Duell and I were talking about the AKC World Hunt that he has just won with his female tree and walker named Piper. Duell, when I did a little research on Piper, I saw that she kind of had 2 or 3 different names. I found her where she was called Pay the Piper, and then I saw where she was called Little Piper. And is there a story about any of that?
Yeah. Her first name was Tracker's Little Piper, and
Okay.
that's the main name that she had when she was younger. And then when Ike bought her, her name got switched to Heather Island Pay the Piper.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, that's where that came from.
Okay, so that's her official name now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. Well, we got that cleared up, folks. I knew you were wondering about that, so now you know. Duell, as I was thinking here when we had a little break here, but I was thinking about the fact that this podcast has traditionally been for the kind of the coon hunting purists, the older guys, really, that have been around coon hunting for a long time, and just that kind of fit with me. I'm 76 years old, so you're.
It should be right around then. I mean, that doesn't include the pleasure hunting and stuff I did just for fun, but
Yeah.
as far as the competition hunting and stuff,
Sure,
yeah, I'd say
sure.
right around 6 or 7.
Right. Well, I definitely know that there's a different mindset, with younger people. We have grandchildren and and I talk with them and I talk with a lot of young guys, but I know the game has definitely changed from what it was when I was involved in it. I did quite a bit of competition hunting before I went to work at the registries, but then I spent 33 years on the other side of the desk from you guys, at the events, at the entry tables, all that entails. So I've kind of had different ideas about the sport, I'm sure, than you've had. But in the 6 or 7 years that you've been involved now with competition hunting, have you seen any changes in the dogs or the style of hunting? Or, of course, there's been some changes in the rules back and forth and all. Or is it pretty much the same when you came in?
I would say there has been some changes. I mean, just like you mentioned, as far as the rules and stuff like that. But the payouts, it seems like they get steeper and steeper each year, and they're making it to where a guy, if all he does is hunt and he does pretty good at it, he can make a real good living off of it.
Yeah. Well, you're one of those few guys, I think, that do that pretty much. Well, you're not actually full-time coon hunting. You're working a job as well, aren't you?
Yeah. So my dad owns a construction business, and I run around. We probably have 50 plus guys that work for us, and I run around to the meetings and make sure stuff's getting done and stuff like
I
that.
see.
But other than that, I hunt every night. But I got a pretty easy schedule too.
Well, sure, I understand. Well, good for you. How many hours will you hunt in a night? Do you have kind of a curfew, a kind of a mark that you try to set? With me, it would always seem to be like when 2 o'clock rolled around, that was kind of, I was started thinking about going home.
Yeah. See, it depends really. I try not to get out right at dark, just to let traffic and people die down as far as out and about,
Yeah.
And but if I'm really trying to work on one and get one ready for something, I mean, I'll stay out till daylight,
Yeah.
But if one just needs tuned up, or I'm just wanting to get it out, stretch its legs, and see how it's doing, I'll hunt till 3 or so,
Yeah. Night.
If I'm not, I had to take care of, but
Sure.
but other than that, when it gets dark, I'm looking around like, all right, it's ready to go.
You're like an old coon. When it gets dark, it's time to get out and make something happen. Huh? Well, listen, do you have your own family, Duel?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. Tell me about that just a little bit.
I got a 5-year-old boy named Rhett.
All right.
And then I got a 9-month-old little girl named Hallie.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. What's your wife's name?
I don't have a wife, but
Okay.
my girlfriend's name is Miranda.
Miranda. I have a niece named Miranda, so that's cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was an assumption on my part, but that's
no, you're fine.
There again. There's that.
You get me in trouble.
That's right. Well, we were talking about miles and all, and you said you'd gotten a new truck, and then within a couple of months, you put 13,000 on it already. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, I've probably had 5 or 6 trucks just this year, and once they get around 30 or 40,000, I try to get them traded in just so I don't lose too much value on them, But that I always think my trucks, there's something wrong with them, that the miles go up more on my trucks than they do on anybody else's. But I think I figured it out that I spend more time in the truck than I do anything else,
Yeah, yeah. What kind do you prefer? What brand do you have?
I mean, all the new trucks are pretty nice.
Yeah.
I've had the new Tacoma, and I got Chevys now.
Yeah.
I got a 3/4 ton diesel, and then I got a 1/2 ton Chevy that I use for hunting.
I got you. Yeah.
But I prefer them. I mean, my family's always drove Chevys their whole life, but
I got you.
I just go with whatever works,
Oh, I hear you. Well, my partner, we've got a dog that we partner on down in North Carolina, or up for me, it's up in North Carolina. But anyway, he's got a 3/4 ton Chevy. But I think that's his Sunday truck. Not many miles on. I think he drives it's either a Toyota or a Nissan to hunt in. I've got an old Ford F-150 I bought when I retired. So, and I'm still driving it. And,
and it makes it easier that I got a Chevy dealership kind of local to me, and I've been buying new trucks off them since I've been 18 years old. Barry Bunker Chevrolet. He's a older guy, and I bought my first new truck off of him, and it's a good guy right there.
Yeah, is that in Huntington or?
That's south of Huntington. That's actually in Marion, Indiana.
Marion, okay. Well, you mentioned Marion in the earlier part of the podcast, and I remember Marion as 1986 UKC World Hunt. That's the year that Pac-Man, Russ Beller's Pac-Man dog, won the World Hunt. And that was the year we decided that we needed to go to the zone hunt because we were hunting all our dogs on a Wednesday night. And we had dogs that weren't getting turned loose till 2 o'clock in the morning because we really had to double up on some of the guides just to be able to get all the dogs hunted. So that's when I made the decision to go to the zone hunts. And then here PKC is doing the same thing. Do you while we're on that subject, do you have a comment about that the new zone system for PKC World?
I actually like it. It's it makes it interesting. You get I think what is it, six tries now?
Well, you still have the 4 nights at Salem. So.
Yeah. Yep. I like it. I mean, I always try to. I mean, if I can't get one in, I can't get one in. But I would always like this past year, I tried to get a dog in up at the Michigan zone, and it never worked out. And then I tried to get one in down there. It just didn't play out very good. But I think
Yeah.
it's a really good idea how they're doing it, and I'd say they'll probably stick with it in the future.
Oh, I bet they will too,
If not,
because
add more zones.
yeah, and they probably will do that as well. In fact, that's what UKC did. We started out with 4, and it does. It gets that first couple nights close to home, and but PKC takes it an extra step, because if you don't make it in the zone, then you still got the week in Aurora, not Aurora, but Salem. Yeah. All right. Well, have you kind of kept track of your lifetime earnings? You probably know your PKC, I would think.
Yeah, I think my PKC is right around 120,000, and the pro sports they've had,
Yeah.
and I think I'm right around 75 or 80,000 there, and then I won second place at the TOC, and
Yes.
that paid 30,000.
Yeah.
And then whatever the other littler hunts were, like I won the ACHA World Hunt. I think that paid 5,000, and the AKC World just this past weekend.
Yeah. Are they paying any cash on the AKC World now?
Yeah, the final 4 purse was 6,000.
I see.
Yep.
I see. Well, that's impressive for sure. The money, the way it's changed, I remember when I was at PKC, I left there in 2004. And if I'm not mistaken, Mill Creek Molly was the all-time money leader at that time. And I think maybe she may have surrendered that to Tam Young's Hard Rock dog, the black and tan. But it's just around $100,000 or so. Silver Dollar Cracker was the all-time money leader for several years there, and his earnings were around 100. So that's all changed dramatically.
Yeah, I think the all-time leader now is actually one of Ike's dogs, Heather Island Wipeout Z.
Yeah.
And that's one of my teammates' dogs, Dustin Weed. That dog, I think he's around 290, if not 300,000 right now.
Yeah, amazing, really amazing.
And he's and Z, they're litter mates. So.
Okay, yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, it's incredible. Well, good for you guys that are out there hunting. I mean, I would be the last one to say, I go for all you can get. I mean, I would be the last one to say anything against sport. You mentioned UKC, PKC, AKC, ACHA, and all. Do you have a favorite format or set of rules that you like to hunt under? I know it must be a little bit taxing to figure out which one you're hunting in under at the particular time.
Yeah, honestly, like the no leash lock. I feel like the dog that trees the most coon will win the hunt. It's instead of like PKC, they switched their leash lock rule back.
Right.
So now they have leash lock. And the way I look at it is, if I'm paying $2,500 for an entry, and all 4 dogs get split treed out of the truck, and these dogs are go yonder dogs now, here and there. Yeah. And it may take the whole hunt to score them 4 dogs. Right. And I don't believe I'm the lead walking around the whole hunt. I think that dog needs to be cut loose and see what it's made of.
I agree with you, Duel, and it didn't make sense to me ever to think that the dog gets out there and trees the first coon is really getting penalized, and of course people see it in different ways. They think about the factor of somebody going into their dog and moving it, and especially since we have the thermal imaging scopes now and all these things that people think about. But I think most of that thinking is done behind a keyboard or looking at a phone screen instead of out there in the woods actually hunting and seeing the way things come down. But that, I'm just an old guy. Those are my opinions. But when we wrote the rules for AKC, we did not include a leash lock in there,
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think if you're out there, whether it's $30 or a $5,000 entry, I think your dog deserves to be off the lead the whole hunt. I don't
yeah.
think you should have to walk it around everybody else's trees. And like you said, the first dog that trees a coon is the one that gets punished the whole time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you and I can agree on that. Whether it'll change anything or not, I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah. Well, okay. Let's talk about kind of and say this is what I want to hunt because I think I can win with it, and it would be my ideal dog. Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah. I think a dog with a big mouth, one that gets open fairly quick. Because when you got that leash lock these days, a good strike goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to have coon, got to be by itself. I don't mind if they all strike a track and tree together right out of the truck. But after
Mm-hmm.
that, I really like my stuff to be off by itself. I don't like sharing no points with nobody. But
Well,
yeah, if I could draw one up, big mouth, good strike dog, and dead loner, and one that can tree a layup and bushwhack them, that I think that means a lot too, because a lot of people and a lot of dogs I've seen, you can't have both of them at the same time. They don't make them. You either got one or the other, and then two type of dogs don't work everywhere in the world either.
Right. Well, there's a lot of speculation that goes on, and it's gone on this podcast with various guests that I've had. That there's one thing about a dog that's naturally independent. There's another thing about a dog that's trained to be independent. We also hear the talk going around about these dogs that are the bushwhack type dogs that are trained more to run the edges and so forth. Do you think there's a lot of training that goes into all of that, or do you think that these dogs are mostly just born that way?
I would say that a lot of these dogs that are dead deep loners, be completely wrong, but that's just the way I see it.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to drill down into methods and all these kind of things, but there's a lot of speculation about that, and then you'll see guys comment about a particular dog they have, especially if it's a stud dog that they're trying to attract attention to. They'll say that this dog is uh, a natural loner. He wasn't man-made that way. So
Yeah.
well, yeah. But I think to be realistic, we have to know that a lot of them are for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The way I look at it is these dogs aren't coming out perfect. If there was, everybody would be doing it or breeding to that same dog if they
Oh,
came
yeah.
out perfect.
Exactly.
There's always, it's just like buying a new truck. That truck's probably perfect just like it is, but you're always wanting to tune it or do something, put wheels on it or something. You always want to make it better.
We used to say the old jokes, like use General Motors, for instance. They spend millions of dollars for engineers to design these trucks, And the first thing a high school kid does when he gets a new truck, he brings it home, puts it up on blocks, and starts improving. I guess it's the same thing. And this dog breeding is really, it's not an exact science, that's for sure. And, you can think that you've got the absolute perfect cross, and they don't turn out that way at all. Well, what was your all-time favorite, has been your all-time favorite hound, Duel?
I mean, I really haven't been in the game as long as everybody, so I've never got to see any of them older dogs go, that everyone talked about. But I mean, as far as being with one so much, and I'm not just saying it because it was my dog or not,
Sure.
but I would have to say Melvin. I mean, you could ask multiple people. He would just invent coons, like all these other dogs would run by this section or something, and he would just wheel right around and find something that they could never even smell, it seemed like, and I think that's why he was so consistent on winning, because he could smell stuff that other dogs couldn't, and he could tree, like we were talking about, both styles of coon, the bushwhack coon or the layups.
Right. Well, again, we'll have to result. It's not fair, but things happen for a reason. So, and then here you come along with Piper, and you're picking up, continuing the winning right along. Talk a little bit about the Marv dog you're hunting.
Yeah, so Marv, I think I got him back in June. Dustin Weed, Michael Ward, they were hunting him a little bit, and I got him, and he actually finished second place at the PKC World not this past couple weeks ago, but the year before.
Right.
He got second, and then skip a year, and that year, I think he was a year old, he got second down there too. But no, so his style is he's a barking dog. So as soon as you cut him, he's striking.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know what he's barking at, but he's barking the whole time.
He knows, but we don't.
And a lot of people don't like that. But as far as for competition hunting, that's kind of what you want, really, as far as I look at it. But he moves around really good, and he's a dead loner, and he's really good about having his coon. I think he's, like I said earlier, I think he's 4, maybe going on 5. But I like him a lot.
Is he a wipeout bred dog?
Yes, sir. He's Zeb 3.
Yeah. Well, that line of dog, and it's amazing how these different strains of dogs, you can kind of pick them out by the characteristics and by their looks as well. But yeah. Well, okay. When it comes to these dogs that you hunt, I'm gonna I'm not in the workings of the Heather Island organization, but I do want just some general information that I think would be interesting to my listeners. When it comes to the hunts that you go to, who decides which hunts? Does Ike decide those, or do you decide, or you guys just talk about it, or how's that work?
We pretty much decide where we want to go. If Ike wants us to go somewhere, we'll definitely go for sure, But
Sure.
Other than that, we kind of make our own schedule as far as where we go and when we go, or what hunt we go to, Well, that's what makes it easy.
Oh yeah, it would for sure. Well, you're talking to a guy that always worked for someone else. I was never actually in business for myself. I worked for Fred Miller for all those years at UKC, and was, ran the coonhound department there. But Fred was the boss, and whatever Fred said, that's what I did. That was easy for me. It was always easy for me to assume that role. When I was in the military, I knew what the rules were. I had a certain rank. Those that had more, I did it. someone else. I think, and when you have a good leader, as obviously you do, it makes things work really, really smoothly. Well, so basically, then, do you try to make a hunt every weekend?
I mean, I don't think you really even have to try these days.
Well, yeah,
They're so booked up with them,
yeah.
But see, during the summer, they try to have most of the hunts like up this way towards the north to stay
Right.
away from the snakes and alligators down south. But
Tell me about it.
yeah, that's bad down there. I don't even
Oh,
like
yeah.
talking about that stuff.
I hear you. I hear you.
But other than that, so I think right around January is when they got that hunt out there in Texas called the Lone Star 5000.
Yeah, at
And that's
Iola,
a really good
Texas.
hunt.
Oh, it is for sure. I enjoyed that one when I was with PKC. That hunt cranked up out there while I was at PKC. Guy Manning and all those guys out there. And yeah. So Texas kind of kicks off the year for you.
Yeah, as far as like getting away from up north, really.
Right.
I think it's like Texas and in January, like there's a hunt out in Oklahoma in a couple weeks, just a pro classic. This
Okay.
weekend there's a pro sport hunt in Illinois, and then in 3 weeks there's another truck hunt in Tennessee.
Yeah, I saw
For
that.
pro sport. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they keep the schedule busy.
Oh, I imagine. Well, it takes a young man to be able to keep up with all that, and you are amazing, having endured the injuries that you have, and that you're still able to follow these go yonder dogs around like you do. But well, okay, let me ask you this. This is something that comes to mind to me. Uh, you take care of I'm not talking about who pays for it. I'm talking about whose responsibility is to put the entry in. I mean, is that something that's done from an office, or you just say, okay, I'm going to this one, it's my responsibility to enter that
We so some of them pro classics and pro sport hunts, the entries sell out within 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh yeah.
So we we have to call in our own entries.
Okay.
So I think the PKC opens up at 9 in the morning. So we all get up and start calling to hopefully we can get a spot.
Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it?
It's wild.
Yeah, I think just the average guy out here that's going to a small hunt, and God bless those guys. There are people out there having fun with coon hunting, pleasure hunting, and going to a small hunt, maybe a UKC or maybe an open event during the week or whatever. And there should be something for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And like there's sometimes that when I'm trying to call and get an entry to a hunt I really want to go to for PKC, they learn 16 times before you get through. Like
Wow.
I've had to because it just goes to the busy line, so you just have to keep recalling and recalling and recalling, and then you finally get through, and hopefully they say, "Yep, we got entries left," or "Nope, we just sold out." So you
Well,
never know what you get until you get the phone answered, and you're like,
yeah.
"Oh, what do we got?"
As like calling Ticketmaster or something, we got George Strait and Chris Stapleton coming to Tampa next
Oh, yeah.
August. Not so already, that thing's selling out. Yeah, well, that's an interesting view of what coon hunting has become on certain levels. And what are your plans for Piper now?
See, my plan was since I had her as a puppy, I wanted to make her a platinum champion, and
Okay.
that's winning over 20,000 in PKC. Well,
Right.
we did that 2 weeks ago at the PKC World. When we got down there, she had 13,001, and then I got in the top 9, and that paid 7,000, so that made her platinum. But as far as what we're gonna do with her, I don't think we're going to breed her this time around. I would like
Mhm.
to keep pushing her and see what else we could win. You know,
Well,
I'd
she's
really
in. Go ahead.
I'd really like to win a truck with her. That'd mean a lot because I one with Melvin. You know,
Sure.
and it'd be cool if I could win one with her too.
Oh, absolutely. Those guys, hats off to our organization. They really stepped up the game.
Seen it before where you can go win a new truck every month. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Well, that was the big thing, back in the day to win a truck. I think Jarvis Humphreys was the first one to do that. And it was but it was a lease. You won like a 6 months lease on a Ford Ranger or something. It was a small truck, mm, you know, uh, and Mansfield, Kentucky. We gave away a truck. And but those were just leases. You got the truck for 6 months, and then it was if you wanted to buy it, you could, or lease it or whatever. But then things started with the truck hunts, getting that pup ticket, get that handler ticket. It used to be. And that was always a wild and crazy ride to try to come up with that ticket every month. And I guess that's still going on with those hunts at the boat, as they say.
Yep, it is. I actually got a truck ticket on Piper this year, so I think they got that hunt down there in February. So maybe Piper can get down there and win us one. She got in the Final Four 2 years ago down there, but we didn't have no luck.
Yeah, well, that's luck's where you make it, I think, and the old saying, "You'd rather be lucky than good," but there is always an element of luck in this game, don't you think?
Oh yeah, yep. It goes down to cutting a dog, and if yours goes the right way, good. If it goes the wrong way, well, there goes your luck.
Yeah, even the best of them. Yeah, I'm working with a young hunter right now. We start, and she's been a little bit of a challenge, but anyway, and he's got a really nice young dog, male dog, and you get discouraged sometimes when they have bad nights, or and I try to tell him, every dog's going to have a bad night now and then, and you just gotta work right on through it. But how do you handle that with a dog? Let's say you get a dog and it's just win, and all of a sudden goes into a slump. You ever had that happen?
Yeah, I have, and I'll approach it two different ways. I'll go home and try to work on what's wrong, and if that isn't doing it, then I'll set them up for a week or two and let them reset themselves. I mean, sometimes they just get plumb wore out, and
Yeah,
it ain't their fault. They're just like us when we're tired.
that we forget with these dogs sometimes. A dog's endurance is an amazing thing. And you think about foxhounds and things that run, all night long. Coonhounds that hunt 2 rounds, in tough competition and treeing. That's hard on a dog. Just the act of treeing, bouncing up and down on those back legs and barking. It's all strenuous sometimes that they need to recover. So,
Yep, you're exactly right.
do you do anything besides hunting to condition a dog?
I got one of them electric bikes, and
Yeah.
I'll ride that. When these crops get off, I'll ride the dogs up and down the fields.
Okay. Yeah.
If I don't want to take it out hunting, I mean, I'll just run it
Yeah.
on the. I've run them on the treadmill too,
Mm-hmm.
but I honestly like to just take them to the woods.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure that's the best. Well, you're going to have, you're in a beautiful time of year to live in Indiana, but that's not going to last all winter. You're
No,
going to get some rough weather up there. I know I lived in southern Michigan for 22 years. So, do you kind of go down south then when when the weather gets bad? Or
Yeah, if I notice that the weather's going to be bad for a week or two straight, I'll head south. I'll either go down to Ike's or a buddy's in Tennessee or
right,
anywhere, just somewhere to
right.
get out of this stuff up here.
Sure, sure. Well, some of those guys I know down here, I bump into them at the hunt to Heather Island, James Wright, and Oliver Wynn, Malcolm Raines, and Ernest. I think good hunters down. You mentioned the darn snakes and alligators kind of run me out, and then it's also so stinking hot, man. You can't get your breath in the summertime down here, but those guys still get out there.
Yep. They're hats off to them for
Oh,
hunting down there and that stuff. That's wild. I went down there this summer to Ike's and hunted down there for a week. And the last night I was there, it rained pretty good during the day. And we were in a 90-minute cast, and we killed 7 snakes down there in that cast. And after that cast, I called Ike. I said, "Hey," I said, "I'm rolling north." I said, "I'm not walking in this stuff again right now." I said, "This is
man.
crazy."
I don't
Because
do
we don't
it.
have snakes up here.
No, I know that, and like in southern Michigan, I never saw a snake at night. I did see a few water snakes and stuff around creeks, but yeah, I just don't do it. Of course, at my age and all, but the gators and the snakes can have it down here. And one of the last casts that I went on was a PKC cast, and Malcolm guided us on one of Ike's places there, and I stepped out of the truck, and the mosquitoes absolutely tried to carry me off. I got back in the truck. My buddy Mac was handling the dog, and I must have killed mosquitoes for 30 minutes once I got back in the truck. It's crazy, crazy stuff. Well, Duel, I've certainly enjoyed our visit. I want to congratulate you again for winning the AKC World Championship with Piper. That was a hunt that was very near and dear to my heart for a while because I lived with it for a few years there. But all the accomplishments that you've done in your short tenure as a coon hunter, it's quite amazing. And I'm just really glad to have you on the podcast, and thank you for your time today.
Hey, I appreciate it. And anytime, buddy. I enjoyed it. And I'd like to thank a couple people.
Yeah, we were going to do that. Let's do that. Please do.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Ike Rainey for everything he's done for me in the last year and a half, and lets me live my dream as much as I want, And Razor Lights with Johnny Watkins, he supplies me with the best light that I've ever used. It's never left me in the woods dark,
Yeah.
And Coon Hunter Supply, that's also Johnny Watkins.
Mm-hmm.
He supplies me with anything I need, and all my dogs in my kennel are fed by Joy. Some of the best been in this, but I don't know how you could ask for much more.
Well, you certainly can't. That's for sure. Yeah.
Nope. And one more would be Deep Shaft Outdoors. My buddy out in Illinois owns it. And just anybody else that I missed, I appreciate it, and I thank you all.
Well, Duel, I'm sure they're all proud to be your sponsors, and they are probably, as I am, quite impressed with you as a young man, as a family man, as a coon hunter, and as a winner on the major stage of coon hunting. Thank you so much for coming on our podcast. I think a lot of people will really enjoy meeting you through this medium, and I just wish you nothing but the best, buddy.
I sure appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, well, I have a way of closing out this podcast each week, and I'll just say, if anybody asks you where that old worn-out coon hunter, Steve Fielder, is, tell them he's up there in northeast Indiana, hunting, and the dogs are treed, and they've gone to the dogs.
Yes, sir.